Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Mongillo and I'm starting a YouTube channel. I've been very excited about this for a while, and for those of you who know me, I love a good book. I love reading. I love talking about the things that I have been reading, and so what I've decided is to dedicate an entire channel just to me talking about books that I really enjoy. And the first kind of subset of genres that I'm going to be talking about is books on creativity. I've read a handful of these books just because I'm a creative, you know? Because I like the way that I create things. It's just, anyways. So, welcome. I'd say welcome back, but this is the first video I've made, so welcome to the channel. The first book I wanted to talk about today is actually one of the first books I read on creativity. I think it was the second, one of the first. The book is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I felt like this book was really helpful because it kind of helped me get out of my own bubble, if you will. You know, sometimes you need an external voice to kind of speak into something that you've been thinking about for a long time. And this book was that for me. It was the final push I needed to really engage in different forms of creativity. In my case, that had a lot more to do with writing, but also something like this, a medium where I kind of share and air out my own thoughts on different books and things. But anyways, these reviews aren't necessarily going to be this was the first chapter, this was the second chapter, this was the third chapter. Because I feel like there's a lot of those on YouTube at the moment. Different summary books, things that review each and every chapter. Whereas I feel like these reviews, I want them to be a lot more like you're sitting down on the couch. Whoa, voice crack, did you hear that? You're sitting down on the couch with me to talk through books that I have enjoyed. So the first thing I wanted to talk about in regards to Austin Kleon's book is obviously the namesake, the title, which is Steal Like an Artist. And the whole premise of the book is that all creativity, all forms of it, whether that be writing, or whether that be drawing, or whether that be painting, or whether that be architecture, whether that be Excel spreadsheets, I think we're stretching. But you know what I mean. Any sort of creativity is always based on something that we have absorbed from another person. An idea that we've kind of been grappling with, or a concept that we heard once upon a time when we were listening to that person talk about those exciting things. So the idea is that we take all the sum total of those ideas and we add our own little flair to them. So if you've had a creative endeavor on your heart, something that you've wanted to do for a really long time, you just never have really gotten the chance to do it, this is going to help you, because this is something that helped me in regards to starting this YouTube channel, but also in regards to writing and all those other things that I'll get into another time. The first aspect of the book that I wanted to talk about, it's actually the fourth chapter, which is use your hands. Austin identifies something really interesting, which is there are two different spaces that he's created in his own space, his house, I think it's his like garage, I think. Austin, correct me if I'm wrong. Where he has a digital space and he has an analog space. And that's the thing, like there's so many great ideas out there and there's so much vying for our attention that if we don't have a space just dedicated to being completely disconnected from the noise of the world, it's very likely that even with the best of intentions, those ideas will never come to fruition, because there's something very unique about a disconnected space. I don't want to get overly philosophical with you, but it's almost as if there's a sacredness to a disconnected space. And within that, you're able to take those kind of sacred ideas that you've constructed and bring them over to the digital space, whether that be typing it out or recording an audio message on your phone. But in your case, it could very well be having a space where you have your paint supplies in a different room, or if you're a dancer and you're trying to choreograph a new kind of dance, then you have a space just dedicated to that, in perhaps a studio or a spare room in your house or something like that. The premise is that you're disconnecting from the world around you, so to take the ideas that you have from that disconnection and bring them into the digital world. I hope that makes sense. The next idea I wanted to talk a little bit about was this idea of the secret. And he kind of draws out this motif, and I find it really interesting. And he says that the secret is to do good work, that is, put in a ton of hours to craft something that you're really proud of. And not only that, the secret is then to take that good thing and share it with the people around you. And what's fascinating is he calls it the secret because when you get into this habituated process of creating something you're proud of, and then taking that thing and then showing people that you trust, what it does is it reinforces the kind of practice of creating things that you're really excited to create. Because one of the major hurdles to get over for anyone who's creative is the whole idea of actually being confident enough to be vulnerable. And it's one of the most terrifying processes. One of the most terrifying things is just getting to that place where you're sharing your creativity. Because oftentimes there really are two hurdles when it comes to all forms of creativity. The first of which is sitting down, hitting record, picking up the pencil, picking up the paper, picking up the easel, whatever your medium is, and actually doing something, getting it on the paper or getting it out of you. It's taking all of that creative energy that you have stored inside of you and getting it out. And we all find this very rewarding. I think it's part of the reason why when we were young, we always loved drawing, arts and crafts, and that playfulness of creativity. And I think oftentimes that gets screened out of us very quickly when we get older, which is, I mean, maybe a conversation for another juncture. Anyways, that's the first hurdle you have to get over, is kind of creating the art, sitting down and doing it. The second hurdle, and this is kind of where the secret comes from, is getting in the practice of showing people your creativity. It's the scariest thing, putting yourself out there, because it's like some of us, we fear rejection. We fear that we're not good enough. And this is, I mean, a big reason why we procrastinate and put things off, the things that oftentimes are the most valuable to us. And we put them off because the things closest to our heart are oftentimes the things that we find the hardest to actually do, which is a big reason why creativity, full stop, is hard to engage with, because it brings us all the way back to when we were young. Anyways, I digress. That's the second idea. The first one, again, is using your hands. The second idea is that secret, which is starting that creative endeavor and sharing that creative endeavor. The final thing that I want to talk a little bit about is that creativity is subtraction. This is the final chapter that Brother Cleon writes about. And it's one that I'm still very much so trying to get used to, because I don't know if you're like me. I tend to lean towards what people would call a perfectionist. I don't know where I got Irish there. To my Irish community that doesn't exist yet, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. But what I've found throughout reading people's books or viewing people's art or listening to people talk about different concepts that they find really interesting is that the more they master a certain domain, the fewer words that they use and the more precise they are in their use, which is very unique, because oftentimes we think those who wax on and off about a topic are the ones who are experts in it, but they tend to be more of the amateur status. I don't know why I said amateur like I'm French, but when you get into the experts, they're the people that can draw one line and people are like, it is art. And it's because they have such a deep profundity within their domain. But what we tend to do is we keep adding and we keep adding. We'll add more and more and more. But what Austin's trying to present, which I completely agree with him on, is that true artists know that to create something brilliant, it's to slowly take things away until you've culled out all the really average ideas that you have, to distill it down to something that you're really proud of, something that is actually quite exceptional, albeit small, albeit probably not all that special, but distilled down to its essence nonetheless. I do this a lot when I'm writing. I'll write like 2 or 3 pages, and then I'll be like, okay, realistically, I'm probably only going to use like maybe 2 or 3 of those paragraphs. But it's actually getting the work out on the page that tends to be the most difficult part. And then you have to look at it objectively and go, man, I wrote this and it was helpful for me to get to this paragraph, but it's actually quite useless in the way that good creativity goes. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of the combination of all 3 of those things. The tactile nature of using your hands, having a separated analog and digital space, to the secret of taking your creativity, making it, and then showing other people, all the way down to slowly chiseling it away until it's something that you're really proud of. Something that you go, wow, this is actually good. Not great. Good. And this is a process that I can't wait to continue to go on. I think Austin's book was, again, the start for me of what it actually means to be someone who's creative. Putting work out there, and it's terrifying, but that's like the edge of living. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're in that space and you're doing something, or like you jump out of the plane, or you ask the girl out or the guy out, or you just put yourself out there unashamedly, and you're exposed to the elements of a harsh world. That's what it means to be alive. Anyways, I digress once more. I'm excited to go on this journey with each and every one of you. And yeah, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do what the heck you want, share with your friends. There's going to be a whole lot more of these in the future. And if you want to buy the book, go ahead. It's in the link in the description. Go ahead and pick it up. Austin Kleon's Steal Like an Artist. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye. Take 47.